Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video that's gonna be a palette I almost bought, but then for one reason or another I didn't. I think this is the third or the fourth, probably the fourth time that I'm doing this video on my channel, basically talking you through some of my purchasing decisions when I didn't end up buying something. Because I feel like sometimes on YouTube we end up spending so much time talking about the stuff that we absolutely do not want and just anti-hauling them and roasting them, and on the other side we talk about the things that we actually did buy, showing them, hauling them, swatching them. I want to talk a little bit about the middle ground, the things that we were mildly interested in, but then we ended up not buying them, and I want to let you know why. And if you haven't been here before, if this is your first video here, hello, my name is Angie. I am such a lover of beauty makeup. I love everything beauty and makeup related, especially things that are a little bit more on the colorful side. I don't know if that's going to show in this video in particular, but I mean, you can see on my eye look right here that I am a lover of things that are a little bit more on the brighter side. And if you want to see more of that, don't forget to subscribe, because right now I am uploading every day until Christmas. So I accumulated a list of 12 different palettes that I, in some way or another, were mildly or very interested in, and I'm gonna let you know why I ended up not purchasing them. This is not like shading or roasting any of these brands. These are things that I was actually kind of interested in, or brands that I like, or brands that I am interested in trying in some way or another. So this is just gonna be like stuff I ended up not getting. They were kind of on my wish list, or maybe they didn't 100% make it to the wish list before I like changed my mind and I didn't end up getting them. I will link all of these things down below. I will also link all the things that I have on my face right now, including this tutorial, because it is actually live on YouTube, in case you want to see how I got this look to be like this. These are going to be items that I have talked about on my channel for like new makeup releases. Let me actually scoochy so I can put them up on the side, because obviously I do not own these things because I ended up not buying them. And like I said, I do have videos like this from before. I can maybe put the latest one I have down in the description box in case you want to see another video like this one. Okay, let me start with something that I actually mentioned in my last video, and I wanted to mention it because when I saw these palettes pop up finally, like, I think it was a year later on the BH Cosmetics American website, because these two palettes, like the Sun Zodiac palette, and I think it is the Moon Zodiac palette, something along those lines. Those two palettes popped up on the German BH Cosmetics site, I think in January last year. And then they finally, I'm speaking like finally, after the summer, like they finally dropped on the BH Cosmetics US website, because of course there's been some hiccups with BH Cosmetics. They went into Chapter 11 bankruptcy, they got bought by Makeup Revolution, now Makeup Revolution is having problems, like obviously a lot of things have been going on. So when these finally like launched on the BH Cosmetics US website, I mean, I had long gone decided that I was not gonna buy these palettes. I didn't buy them when they launched at Beauty Bay, and I was a little bit unsure of like where the brand was, even though BH Cosmetics is actually one of my absolute favorite brands. And then when I saw them on the BH Cosmetics US website, a little part of me went like, oh, so you're getting them, right? Like now that they're so easily accessible, like you're gonna pick these up, right? But like, for whom? I mean, I could of course buy them and use them, like, but am I gonna make a video on a palette that's a year and a half old? I don't see that happening on my channel. It's not usually the kind of content that people want to see. And of course I could buy it because I want to own it. But am I really going to get that good use out of it? Because if you're going to see my upcoming palette declutter, or maybe it's already live as you're seeing this, I'm not 100% sure when this video is going live. Maybe my palette declutter has already been here, but you can see that I own it. My palette collection is in the triple digits. Am I really gonna get that much use out of a palette like this? Who am I really helping with this? Or is it just for collector's item? But like, I'm not a collector. I don't collect makeup. I don't have sentimental value to most things in my makeup collection. There are very few things that I save just for the sentimental reason. So I just, for the second time, opted out, because I was like, in Sweden, you would say the train has passed. Oh, the boat has sailed. Basically, that's it, right? The boat has sailed. I was like, it isn't happening. It isn't happening with these palettes. And instead, I'm looking forward to seeing what BH Cosmetics is going to like launch in the future. The next palette that I always feel like this when I see these, and this is the Danessa Myricks Lightworks. I think this is number 4. I always feel like this when I see these palettes. I'm like, oh, I could be helpful here because I have a lot of multichromes from indie brands. But then I'm like, I don't want to own a big palette with multichromes only. I don't even like all shimmer palettes. So sometimes it has to be this, I want to be helpful, I want to review stuff that's helpful for you, but I also don't want to buy stuff that I know in my heart of hearts I'm not going to be able to use, or not be able to use, but I'm not going to reach for, because I so rarely reach for an all shimmer palette. And if I do, it's either going to be an all shimmer palette that's single shadows, like my Cleonad, or it's going to be from an indie brand, because I like indie brands, and I like the Danessa Myricks brand as well. But I will be honest, some of these shades, I'm really happy that I actually ended up not reviewing this one, because I feel like I wouldn't like the shades in the middle, because I was able to swatch those in store. Some of them were water activated. I don't mind water activated liners, but water activated eyeshadows, I don't know how I feel about that. And some of them were that like super creamy flaky formula that I don't really love from indie brands either. So I ended up like almost doing like a sigh of relief in store, because I was like, oh, I would have hated to give this a mediocre review, because I don't want to do that. I want to buy stuff that I like. I know there are YouTubers out there that buy stuff that they know they're not going to love, because giving a negative review gives you more views and gives you more AdSense than giving a positive review. It's just the way it is. And also giving a negative review somehow makes you seem more trustworthy than giving a positive review, because somehow people can only be honest when they're negative. I don't know how this equation is working out, but that's how it is. Negative reviewers are often seen as very truthful, and positive reviewers are often seen as very like dishonest. But at the end of the day, I try to stay clear of things that I know I'm not gonna like. Brands I don't like, formulas I don't enjoy, foundations that are super dewy or super sticky. I don't like super creamy stuff that are like marketed as like not drying down, or eyeshadow palettes from brands who have a formula that I know I don't enjoy. I try to stay clear of that, because I don't want to waste my money and my time on things that I honestly don't think I'm gonna like. And maybe that's also why I'm super double disappointed when I end up not liking stuff that I bought, because I'm like, I believed in you. I believed in you. But yeah, I'm actually really happy I didn't end up buying this one, because I don't think that there would have been anything in this palette that I didn't already own, slash actually maybe wouldn't have been enjoying. This one was super close, and the only reason why I didn't buy this palette from Colored Raine, I think it's called Thunder palette. It is so pretty, and they're having a Black Friday sale. See, this is me contemplating buying it right now, because I love blue eyeshadow. I really love blue eyeshadow. I mean, I'm wearing some blue today. Someone asked me, because I always mention like, these are my favorite combos, the blue eyeshadow, yellow and brown combo, and the red and pink combo. And this viewer of mine was asking, so what's your favorite? You have to rank them. And I will be honest, blue eyeshadow is my favorite. That is the one that I like the most. And even when I look at this now, I'm like, is this a good formula? Listen, I might go and see if this is on Black Friday sale after I film this video, because I do love blue eyeshadow. And the reason why I didn't buy it, the only reason why I didn't buy this one, is because I was super overwhelmed with new releases when this one was being released. And I think that some smaller brands would be better off launching at times of the year when not a lot of brands are launching. Because I think that some mid-sized YouTubers like me, I'm a mid-sized YouTuber, would probably give them a chance and review them if we weren't already so overwhelmed with other things. And I don't know, of course, like how this launch went with like consumers, because a lot of brands are really like, they need the social media selling, like they are depending on something being popular on social media because they are not in stores. But I don't know, with some brands they have such a loyal consumer base that would literally buy everything they release, whether or not someone is mentioning them on social media. And then we have, of course, brands that are not as depending on social media, like, you know, Bobbi Brown and MAC and, you know, those kind of brands that will sell to their consumer base regardless of what we on social media are selling. So it's like different worlds. So I am intrigued by this one. I might still be persuaded by this one. There was also a new palette by Terra Cosmetics. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll pop it up here as well. This one was so beautiful, but this one also came out at a time where I had a lot of stuff showing up. And I also thought that there was a lot of palettes at that point, as I'm wearing, well, it's not green. There was a lot of like cool toned, darker palettes launching. And I was like not ready to commit to another palette. And also, and this is just me, this is just as a YouTuber, how I'm feeling when I'm like buying makeup and reviewing makeup, because this is like a little factor that I have to, something that I have to factor in when I'm buying stuff. How much views is this gonna get? Because the views is how I pay my rent. So it is important for me, if I'm investing in a product, that the views is not only paying for how much I invested in this product, but also is able to make me, you know, pay my rent, pay my taxes, buy my groceries. And sometimes with really small brands and like releases from smaller tiny indie brands like Terra Moon and Cleona and Divina and all of these things, they don't garner enough views to cover all of the overhead costs that, you know, running a business and having a life is, and which is a shame. So therefore you can see smaller YouTubers that maybe have it as a hobby instead reviewing those more, because they're not depending on the views as much. And I'm just speaking from personal experience here, because I will say that some brands are more popular than other brands, some brands get more views than other brands, and at the end of the day I want to bring you videos, because I also don't have an unlimited amount of hours during the day. I want to bring you videos that as many as possible of you are interested in. But I did hear that the quality of this one was really good. I know my friend Karen Harris reviewed this one, right? Fairly sure I saw her video on this, because I know I saw someone's video and I'm fairly sure it was hers. This one I am so happy I didn't buy, and this is the Bésame and Disney Villains palette. And I had this briefly in the back of my head. I was like, maybe this could be a good time to try Bésame. It's fairly colorful. It is not that super cumbersome packaging that they sometimes have. That is just extremely cumbersome. And it seemed to be a fun color story with a fun theming and a good packaging with somewhat different colors. And I was like, this could be the one. But the palette ended up being super expensive. And then when my friend Heather Austin reviewed this one, it actually had two shadows in there that had a lot of glitter in it, like almost to the point where they're like straight up pressed glitters. And I don't necessarily fault a Colourpop palette. If they're doing a collab with an expensive franchise and they're putting in one or two pressed glitters, I'm not faulting them. But when a brand that's charging, I think this was like $80, maybe even more, I'll put the price down here, I don't think there should be pressed glitters in there. Don't shoot me. I don't think there should be pressed glitters in that expensive of a palette. I just really don't think that, because pressed glitters is a more affordable formula. Just put that as a single then. Just put a pot of glitter on the side if you want to bring that element in there. So I don't love when like luxury brands, because Bésame is very expensive when they do that. Maybe I'm the only one thinking that. Please let me know what you think down below. This one almost had me as well. And this was from Trixie Cosmetics. And this one was called the, what was it called? The Girl Talk palette, I think. This was very pretty. If this palette had one dark color, a single dark color, I would have bought it, because I really love this color story with the brights and the like the almost neon yellow and like lime. There were a couple of pastels. It was just so cool, but I needed one of the colors to be a dark matte, because again, I don't like buying stuff when I already can, with my own personal preferences, of course, where I already know a place where I will critique it, because I would have probably made looks with this and said, I wish that this was a bit deeper. Like, I knew that. Looking at this palette, I knew that that is what I was going to say. Because, like, look at this look. I love when a look is dramatic. I like the contrast between something super light and something super dark. And if I'm going to buy something that's this bright and, like, light, I would prefer it to be a little bit smaller, so that I already go into the review knowing that it's probably going to end up being a companion palette. Because I love having companion palettes, but I don't like my companion palettes to be bigger than 8 pans. I don't prefer that. I'm not gonna bring that anywhere because I love bringing 2 or 3 different companion palettes when I'm going somewhere. So I opted out because I knew that I already knew what I was gonna say. Even if I liked the formula, I knew I was gonna say I'm not gonna wear this palette on its own again, because it's just not my makeup preference. And like I said before, I don't like buying makeup that I don't go in thinking, oh, I'm gonna love this. And it was the same with the One Size collab with Disney. When I saw that One Size Beauty was collabing with Disney, I was like, oh, this could be a fun like collection to review. I have been enjoying a lot of things from One Size. It's available at Sephora. How fun of them to be collabing with Disney. So I put it on my wish list, and then I saw the products. And it's actually the same here. I saw this in store. Actually, probably, am I showing my boobies? I'm trying not to. Actually, probably at the same time as I saw the Danessa Myricks palette. And this is very big and very cumbersome. And I don't love palettes that have cheek products and eye products in the same thing. Unless it is like an influencer collab and they chose cheek products that's perfect for them, because that is what I think a collab, like when you're doing a collab with someone. I don't think that this is Mickey's perfect shades for cheeks though. I might be wrong, but I don't think that. I will say those 2 Transformer shades, like topper shades, are really beautiful. But I wish that this would have just been a little 6-pan palette or like an 8-pan palette and then a cheek duo on the side. I think that that would have made so much more sense. And also it is very neutral, but I understand who it is for. And I would probably still have reviewed it if it had been like a little 8-pan palette. It is just a little bit too big. There's a lot of dead space in this palette, and when you see it in real life, you're almost taken aback by how cumbersome it is. Like, it is just like an LP record. It's just too much. Let's kick it back to the beginning of the year. I actually did not mention this one in my earlier video that I did about, because I did one this year of like palettes I almost bought but then I didn't. And this is when Viseart was not reformulating but repackaging their like matte palettes, their bigger ones, into the mini packaging. And I actually got a message from Viseart saying, don't buy them, we'll send them to you in PR. And I got super excited because I had never gotten PR from Viseart and I really like Viseart. So I sent them my address and I said, thank you so much, I really enjoy your brand, because I do. And they never showed up, which is, I'm not blaming the brand for this. I really am not. This happens so often. A brand says they're going to send you PR and then they don't. There could be so many different reasons for why this is happening. Maybe it's just the person forgot. Maybe they changed their minds. Maybe, at least in Sweden, maybe they realized when I was living in Sweden, they're like, oh, she's in Sweden, we cannot afford to send this to Sweden, or it doesn't make sense for us to send it to Sweden. Or it could be so many things. Maybe the package got lost. I mean, I don't know, and honestly, I don't care. I would never blame anyone, any brand or anyone working with PR for forgetting or for changing their mind or for taking me off a PR list. This is their job. They should do what's best for the brand, and I'm gonna do what's best for my channel. That's always how it's gonna be. But since they told me, don't buy these, I didn't buy them. And then I waited. Sometimes PR takes a really long time. And of course, eventually I realized something happened here. And they're not showing up. And then it just ended up being a little bit too old of a release. And I forgot about them. And I didn't remember this again until I started looking for these kind of pictures. And I was like, oh yeah, I never did end up, because I realized, of course, eventually this PR package is not coming. And then I started going back and I was like, maybe I should pick up a couple of these, and I put them in my wish list. And months passed, and now I looked at the picture and I was like, I forgot about these. So I forgot about them, and it happens. I'm still very much in love with Viseart. I have bought, I think, a palette from Viseart since this. I feel like I have, but they're a really good formula. I still love my palettes. They survive by declutter, so no harsh feelings, but sometimes this could be the reason why you end up not picking something up. There was this new palette from Martine Cosmetics that was called the Mission XXX. And I thought, when I saw the sneak peeks of this, because it was very sci-fi inspired, the sneak peeks of this, the promo pictures, they were gorgeous. And they were selling me this neon green dream. And I was like, ooh, I think I'm gonna get this. And then there were 2 reasons why I didn't. First of all, it launched, or like they revealed the full palette, and half of the palette, or maybe 2/3 of the palette, is just grays or really cool tone neutrals. And then there's a couple of pops of green, a yellow, and a purple, and I think there's a blue as well. And I was like, I don't really love grays, and those pops I already have in my collection. And the second reason was I am still in the process, or I was at that point still in the process of reviewing the other palette that they had released before, the Diner palette that I bought. And I wasn't, not that I dislike it, I think it's good, but it's definitely not my top 10 favorites. So I was like, am I really buying another palette from a brand that I think is good, but not my absolute favorite, when it's a color scheme that I don't think I'm gonna love? So that's why I was like, you know, I was almost ready to put it on my actual wish list, and then I was like, maybe not, when I saw the full reveal and got to think of it a little bit more. And that's also something that I would like to tell you. Remember that sometimes being spontaneous is not the best thing you can do with your makeup budget. Think about it for a little bit. If you're feeling super spontaneous, maybe look at some more pictures, watch another review, just to make sure that you're actually making a good decision. Because we've all bought something spontaneously and then got it home and been like, did I buy this? Why did I buy this? I like the Beauty Bay brand, the Beauty Bay eyeshadows. I've come around to really like the Beauty Bay eyeshadows. I was a little skeptical in the beginning, but I'm on board now. I like them. I think it's a good brand. It's an affordable brand. They were releasing this new Mood eyeshadow palette, and I was on board. I had it on my wish list. I was even on the website when it was launching, and I was like, choo choo, you know, I was on the train. I was on this new Mood train. And then I got off because I was like, I don't have time for this. You have got to stop buying palettes at this point that this one was released, because I was already overwhelmed. And this is the reason why I'm on a somewhat of a low buy right now, because I was like, don't stress yourself with getting stuff that you're not 100% sure that you are gonna get to. And I apparently did not remind myself of this exact thing, because I bought that next palette that they released, which was the Dark Fantasy palette. Yeah, I bought that one at release, still haven't tried it. So I learned nothing. But I do like the color story of the Dark Fantasy more than I like the new Mood color story, but still didn't mean anything because I still didn't get to it. That's actually kind of shameful. I need to do something about that. Okay, the last thing that I'm gonna mention, and this is a little bit of a wild card, but this is the, I think it's called the Where the Man Goes At, or Where the Man Goes. I don't know. This is the palette that Makeup by Mitchell, that he released. If you have been on my channel for a really long time, you know that I had one of the worst customer service experiences with this brand when I was ordering from the website. The customer service person straight up lied to me, told me that they had shipped my package, even though my tracking said that they had never shipped my package. And then all of a sudden the tracking stopped and they sent it again. It was a whole thing. And they didn't want to cancel my order because they said it already shipped, but like my tracking was, the tracking I was sending them, the tracking they sent to me showed package has never left the warehouse. I'm like, can you just, like, it had been weeks and weeks and weeks. Finally I got the package and I was like, I'm gonna need you to refund this because this is not okay. I bought it in November and I got it in January. And I sent it back, and I sent it tracked because I knew, because this customer service person had been not very truthful with me, I knew that they were not going to refund me unless I sent it back tracked. And yeah, you're correct. They had it in the warehouse for a couple of weeks, and then I reached out to them and I was like, you know, my tracking shows that you have gotten my refund a couple of weeks ago. Can I get my refund, like my money back? And they were like, oh, yeah, oops. I don't think they were planning to give me my money back, and I'm happy I sent it back tracked, because otherwise I think they're just gonna probably have told me that package got lost. But yeah, I don't trust the brand after that, and I took a really, really long break from them. But then I saw this palette being released, and I know I wasn't like head over heels in my new makeup releases about this one, but I was still a little intrigued. I like the color story. I love a bright green, I love a bright yellow, I love a bright orange, I love the combo of it. I wasn't sure if any of these shades were going to be dark enough for me, but I also know that he loves very pigmented shadows, so I was thinking that maybe these would look a little bit more saturated once you get them, because I thought the photos of them seemed very light. So So I was like, maybe this could be for me. Maybe this could be me trying the brand and actually buying it from Beauty Bay, because I'm never ordering from that site again. That was a really bad customer service experience, not ordering from that site again. But then I was like, I don't want to really, like, why do I feel like I need to review every brand that's out there? Maybe it's okay for me to not know how some formulas are. Maybe I don't need to try all of it. Sometimes I say, like, I try all of it so you don't have to, but do I really need to try all of it? From every country, from every continent, from every region, from every influencer and celebrity, do I need to try all of it? Or can I just stick to things that like 100% interest me, 100% make me feel like, yes, I'm so intrigued, I love this brand, I love reviewing this stuff, and also things that I have a track record of knowing that you enjoy as well. So I opted out, and I think the background is that I had such a bad experience with the brand in the beginning, and I think that sometimes this runs very deep. Like, you have such a bad experience with the brand, and sometimes it's hard to let that go. And I know that from you as well, because I heard in the comments of you having similar experiences with brands that either I've never tried or brands that I love. And I know that sometimes having something like that, we're not willing to give brands a second chance. And I'm the person that's always like, I always give brands a second chance. And I was very close with this one. Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. I'm not saying never. Never canceling a brand. I'm always just taking a break from them, hoping that I can see improvements for the future. Anyways, that was it for this video. If you're interested in any of these things, if you want to know what I have on my face, everything is going to be down in the description box. Don't forget to check the description box if you're interested in any of the things that I've been talking about, or if you want to find my merch, my vlog channel, my other socials, or my membership as well, because I do have a membership here on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you again tomorrow for a new video. Bye!